Hello and welcome back to my GTNH playthrough. It is Friday, October 24th. This will be a pretty quick video. There wasn't too much today, actually, to the point that I had considered skipping it, but I figured did do one or two little nifty things, so just go over them real quick. So the main accomplishment for the day was setting up this guy. This is the multi-block autoclave. I do have everything tiered to as far as I can get, so if you look, the tungsten one pipe casings are the highest tier it seems to go to for this. These guys in here are quantium pipe casings. Looks like the next tier is fluxed electrum and then black plutonium, both of which are things that I do not have access to without a tier 5 rocket or higher, so that's what we're rolling with for now. The glass actually doesn't matter. So I will say I've started using the wiki even more for when I go to build a multi-block, especially because a lot of, like, this guy has multiple tiered components in it. So you can, like, look at it and see, does the glass affect it, etc. In this case, the glass isn't tiered, so I just use the tungsten one just because I like the way it looks. I like the purple outline, and it kind of goes well with this multi-block. So now, the kind of cool thing for this guy is it causes, I wouldn't say my first, but like kind of like a little automation mini puzzle, because the main reason we needed to get this guy built, if we're looking at the quest book, is to be able to make these crystal chips right here. So to get them though, you need a raw crystal chip. When you look at the recipe, we've got molten europium, which obviously we're getting from our fusion reactor we set up a couple days ago, and then using an exquisite emerald to get a 10% chance. However, if you scroll over, you can also use a raw crystal chip part and some europium to get a 100% chance. Now, so obviously this is the recipe you want to use, but as you would probably guess, this part comes from just breaking this down in some sort of way. In this case, it's with a forge hammer. So you break this guy down to get 9 back. Now, the problem is trying to figure out how to automate this, because even if you have one to start with, like, you can't, like, if this recipe is set up in AE2 to require this, and then you're calling for this, if you have one, it's never going to put it to the forge hammer first, because patterns don't prioritize like that. There would be some things that would be way easier if you could do that, but yeah, it's just not a thing. So you have to figure out how to do this. Now, the way I ended up going about it, I did see a suggestion on Reddit a few days ago, like happened to be browsing something else and looking for a different answer and noticed this, and so it was already on my mind and kind of worked out. I wish I had it pulled up. I would call it his username, because it's like it's not even that old of a post, but apparently he was explaining to his buddy how to do this, and so it kind of worked out. I was trying to rack my brain. I will say I was trying to rack my brain of a way to fix it with like AE2, because the way this solution, which I guess I'll just go over now, is basically you want to set up a little mini loop that is not part of the main network. In this case, I'm just using Ender IO conduits because I thought it was easier than what I saw explained with a subnetwork. But essentially, we've got our pattern coming in for 8 raw crystal chips. However, if you look at what's used to make the pattern, it's 144 molten europium. Now, when I just showed it a few minutes ago, to actually use this, you use 16. If you take 144 divided by 16, it's 9, not 8. As the pattern calls for. So basically what's going on here is this input bus, which is a ULV one, so it only gets 1 stack. You can technically use a higher one if you set it to like 1 stack mode, but obviously that'd be kind of silly. But this is full. So basically I crafted using the 10% recipe till I got one of these. And then once I had one of these, I put it in the forge hammer, got the raw bits out, and then like cycled it a few times till I had enough to have this input fully full and this input fully full. So now what happens if I request even one of these, or it calls for 8, so it'll drop the amount of europium in there to make 9 of those guys. Once it finishes, this input is a higher priority, so it'll refill the forge hammer first, and then everything else gets dumped back into the network. This is a import bus back here, and then it just keeps it going. I haven't tried like a huge batch to see if anything glitches out. I did add like filters and stuff, even though that's technically unnecessary with the arrows, but I have had weird glitches before. But it does. This does seem to work. I would really like it to be an AE solution, so I could have it, be like this. And as I'm speaking now, I just remembered I can actually. I don't know if this would work, but I'm kind of curious. Now I'm thinking about it. Is if I dropped like that and dropped like this, and where's my paint? So I know I can paint. Can I paint? I'm kind of curious if I can tempt this. So the reason I don't really like this solution is so it works great for this, and this is fine, but oh, that's the stupid water point one. Any other recipes I do, instead of exporting directly into the network, which is faster and doesn't have any weird hangups, it has to export out of this export bus. But now I'm kind of curious if I paint, I don't know, if I do like, say I paint this one, blue, if that'll, like, I better, I'm going to solve it. Let's do this and this. And then I'll come back and try that later. So I'm curious if I do this, if they'll be linked together, and then I can have just this recipe running on this little network, and then everything else directly dumped back in. So I haven't moved any of my other autoclave recipes over here, but I will experiment with that over the weekend. I don't want to sit here wasting time doing it on camera. Other little changes. I realized in my clean room I left behind one of my random laser engravers, so that was done. And then from there, hopping down to the lower part of the tower, I did set up a second assembly line. This one is just going to be for my heavy ingots. The main reason I wanted to get this guy set up is because the tier 5 requires LUV power or ZPM power, so the LUV will craft it. And I think I actually, because I set it to go before I left work, they do not appear to be crafting. What's holding these up? Oh, still crafting the Quantium. So that was all I did over here, was set this guy up. Nothing too crazy. What is kind of interesting though is you can't accidentally put the wrong pattern in a power thing that's too low. Like I put the thing over here, and then this actually wouldn't even run any of the other recipes because it said I didn't have enough power to this machine because that one data stick was sitting in here. So that's kind of nifty. I will say for the immediate future, I do want to set up a bunch of assembly lines to basically have one of each of these, but the way my circuit production is right now, they are, because of specifically this block, the assembler machine casing, this is a very slow recipe, so soon, but not immediately. But I think I should probably do that sometime in the near future to speed things up. I'd like to say over the weekend, but I doubt it, so it might just be like a side project and have these like casually crafting in the background. But the whole reason I ended up going for the tier 5 rocket, working on for the tier 5 rocket, which is why I have set up those heavy duty plates, is I was going through the quest book. Like I said, I was kind of meandering today. I knocked out this guy, which was pretty straightforward because this tellurium, I went the wrong direction when I clicked on that. This tellurium basically comes from electrolyzing, there it is, albernite, which in itself comes from rare earth 3 dust. So I have had for a little while set up my rare earth down over here. So got that set up, this electrolyzer, which this isn't actually, I'm realizing now, I forgot to turn it on. Interesting. Something must not be running for there to only be 11 still. Or maybe I just don't have it. Is this... There's something funky going on here. I should have more than 11, like if this guy was turned off. So I'll have to look into that. Something's going on. But this is where my rare earth is split equally among these three to get turned into the various rare earth forms. Which I should have more of a backup, but I did not realize I had run out of fluorine and run out of hydrochloric acid. So those are two things that are on the list to be addressed immediately. I did, because of that though, one of the things I had kind of left hanging from the Nequata line that I never got around to till now is I did set up the recycling finally for wastewater as well as for this stuff, the for spar dust, which is just basically you get this fluorinated rich mixture. I think it's fluorspar. Just look at it this way. Fluorspar, where do we get it? Not from this one. Right here, fluorine-rich waste liquid. So we have a ton of this stuff, a ton of this waste liquid. This waste liquid, we distill it, we get hydrochloric acid back, and some chrome and phenol, which funnily enough was a few days ago a chemical I was trying to figure out how to get more of. So if I had set it up faster, I might have been able to avoid that. Also, I'm not really sure. Did I really go through all my waste liquid? That's crazy. No. Oh, yeah, I did. I only got the fluorine-rich waste liquid in here. Wonder if I went through all my quicklime. Fluorine-rich liquid. Yeah, I went through all my quicklime, so I'll have to look into that. I'm pretty sure I can get quicklime from bees, and I had stopped that process a long time ago because I wasn't using it for anything, so I really should be writing all these little checklist things down. But again, so what I was saying, though, is the whole reason I went to this is this last fetching quest to start moving on to making these crystal things down here. So this guy specifically got parasite, which when you look at the recipes, you can use quartzite and amethyst to make this, and I don't have very much amethyst, and the place you get amethyst from is Venus, and Venus I do not want to go back to unless I am required, because I do have the spacesuit jetpack crafted, but I don't have the thing to charge it crafted because for some reason it takes different power than both RF and EU, so I just don't want to do it unless I have to. And also I don't have night vision there, and that planet is very dark, and then obviously if I'm like setting stuff, so I just want to avoid it. But you can get parasite from a tier 5 planet, so I figured, alright, I'll come back to these crystal circuits in a bit because I don't need that many circuits to craft the tier 5 rocket. In fact, I'm pretty sure I only need, since I have the heavy plates going, I'm pretty sure I only need 4 more ZPM circuits, which it's fine and easy to craft. They're on the level maintainer anyways. I just need the heavy duty plates, which are currently crafting in the background. And then crafting the actual tier 5 rocket is pretty straightforward and easy. And I've long since, when I was setting up the fuel for the tier 4 or 3 rocket, I can't remember anymore, I already have this guy set up, and this fuel is good up to the tier 6 rocket. So I figured just craft the rocket first, go to Ross AB, and then set up the miner there, get amethyst without having to go to Venus and being frustrated, get plenty of the prasolite there, and then be able to kind of look at this for progression, and then in the meantime start setting other stuff up like this SMDs. There's some other things I'd like to grab as well, like this Ender Quarry I've been looking forward to since the beginning of the game. I also noticed in this task it mentions the Void Miner, which makes me feel like it's close, though I don't know anything about it. Here, let's take them. Void Miner. Void Miner 3, that's probably not right. Void Miner 1. LUV. Oh, I can craft it now, besides this netherite frame. Interesting. I might look into this as well, because as I've said a lot of times, one of my least favorite things to do is move around the miners. So maybe I'll check this out this weekend, because everything else on here, I might have to craft a neon bee, or breed a neon bee, because I don't have that bred yet. But to do the neon bee, I'm pretty sure I've already beat all the Twilight Forest things. So if I need to, yeah, Hydra drone, Argon drone, which I have the Argon, so, and I know I have the Lich because I needed that to get to the Argon, so I don't know if I have Ignis. I don't know, might be like 2 or 3 steps of breeding, but there's a bunch of bees that I really need to breed anyways. Like I need to like just kind of chill out and breed a bunch of stuff, but that is a whole lot faster. And then from there, yeah, that's kind of the immediate plans. I'll try to hit the tier 5 planets over the weekend just to knock those out of the way, and then kind of lay out a solid plan of what to work on next. But I feel like the tier 5 rocket, get the new circuits, set up the circuit assembly line, which is part of that little chain of quests, and then go from there, see where we're at. But I appreciate you for watching. I hope everyone has a good weekend. I'm gonna head off to cards, and I will see you later. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.